Welcome to Conversate, our podcast where we engage in conversations. This week's episode, Aaron and Kevin are talking about a man who was an invalid for 38 years, and he encountered Jesus, and Jesus told him to get up and walk. Now, the man had been putting a lot of his hope in this pool for his healing, and so in this conversation, we discussed a lot of the things where we put our hope instead of in Jesus. But what is it that Jesus offers us to do? How do we practically put our eyes on him? What does it look like to have faith in him and also deal with the real world problems and situations that we confront on a daily basis? As always, our goal is that you'll hear us talk about something that will inspire you to start another conversation about Jesus with somebody else. As always, we hope you enjoy it. Morning, buddy.
Good morning.
Top of it. To you. And yours, and your loved ones, and those far off.
I'm trying to think of who is far off. Well, plenty. Yeah, geographically speaking. Not that far off, though, I guess. I don't have any. My wife.
Yeah?
Well, I already started the sentence, so I'll keep going. She's got.
I don't know. We can edit it out if necessary.
She's got cousins. I think they're second cousins who live in the UAE.
Oh, really?
So there's some far off relatives.
Are they... Do you know where the UAE is?
Me personally? Middle East.
Yeah. It's right across the Persian Gulf from Iran.
Just to clarify, though, when I say those two words, Middle East, I just know that that's a word, combo of words that designates a certain part of the earth. Yeah. My mind struggles geographically. So, to get there directionally, I'm thinking you'd fly southeast. Is that accurate? Would you fly southeast from where we live?
You can, more east than south, for sure. Or west, since the world is round.
Yeah, fair point. Closer to go east, though?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, when I went to Kazakhstan, which that's not really Middle East. It's actually north of China, between China and Russia. But we went to Europe first and then went to Kazakhstan. Mm-hmm. So I would imagine that's the flight path. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like maps though. And then with the most recent war, conflict, whatever you want to call, with Iran, I've been looking more at maps and stuff. So, because there was like a retaliatory strike in Bahrain, and then we had a guy in church that was requesting prayers for a friend that's stationed in Bahrain, and I was like, I think that's in the Middle East also, but it's actually in a little island nation in the Persian Gulf. I didn't even know that, and there's like this 20-mile long bridge between the island nation and then the mainland, which is not Bahrain. What's it connected to? I don't remember. But halfway through, there's like a little... I was just looking at the satellite map, and then I was zooming in, and there's like this land-looking platform like halfway through the bridge off of Bahrain. And I was like, what is that? So you click in farther, and it's like what would it be? Like a travel center, basically.
Yeah,
like in the bridge, but
super long bridge.
Yeah, and it's really, really big, like, probably man-made platform. And there's a Burger King and a McDonald's on it and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's like a travel plaza. Yeah. So help me out. I know what a Gulf is. At least I think I know what a Gulf is, which is like it kind of comes up into land, like land covers maybe three or at least half of it, maybe more than half of this body of water. Yeah. What is the land that's surrounding the Persian Gulf?
So on the west side is what's the UAE is a piece of that.
Okay.
Oman, and then Saudi Arabia is the biggest chunk on the western side of the Persian Gulf, and then Kuwait is up on the northern part, and then on the eastern part of the Persian Gulf is all Iran.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's why they're...
why these peoples are engaged in the conflict, because of proximity.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the U.S. has military bases in all of those countries as well. As far as I understand.
Yeah, it was big news, though.
Yeah.
I didn't realize even, at least this morning I was reading about that this is likely the most fragile Iran's government has been since the current ruler, since that Ayatollah who was killed, took power in what, 79?
Yeah, well, a different guy right before him took power in 79. This guy was the second.
I see.
One, but
But so
I mean,
so it's pretty significant, for if you're living in Iran.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I mean, I don't know enough, I don't know enough to comment on it other than basically like and only from my experience or limited knowledge of like Iran in my lifetime has been, I mean, at least the way that it's talked about is kind of this isolated nation and stuff. But then I've seen pictures of Iran from like the 60s and 70s and stuff, and it was Persia basically at the time, and kind of lush gardens. It was a vacation escape for many Europeans and and stuff. So yeah, really different. I think that was a major like cultural shift when that happened in 79. So yeah, man, I don't know. It's an interesting time. That's the word. But I know you and I were talking. We'll talk about other stuff here today. But just kind of thinking through this too. How do we respond biblically to these sorts of situations when governments or countries are at war with one another and that sort of stuff. And the way we see this in our Lutheran theology is that government is let's see. Let me start at the smaller level. So this kind of smallest like social institution that God has granted is the family unit. So parents and children. And so God has granted authority to parents to basically be like God for their children in doing God's will and giving his word to their children and carrying that out both in justice and in mercy. So
governing them.
Yeah, governing them. So there's laws, right? Basically, there's justice for the breaking of laws, and then there's mercy and grace and love. And so that's God's will for parents for their children. Parents do not always parent well. They're imperfect. They're imperfect parents, and yet that's still their role and responsibility, and God will work through that. And so as family units come together, then there's societies, and societies then have governments, and God has granted governmental authority to be basically like the parents for their society. So the government's role is essentially to do God's will for society in the civil ordering of it.
Preservation of justice.
Yeah.
Caring for maybe the weak and infirm. I mean,
right.
These are extrapolations of what you do in the family to the broader social scale.
Right. So also defend the children, protect them, all that sort of stuff, So then kind of the authority then, I guess, to go to war and those sorts of things are in a way given to governments in order to execute God's justice in this world. Now that gets tricky, and we're not going to come right along and say these guys are the good guys, these guys are the bad guys. This is God's will that these people will win and not these people.
Like down here on the earthly level, it's pretty hard to. We don't have the same view. We don't have the same. Even capacity to see things as God sees them. So like when we're down here on earth, things are happening, and you could like trace this out through some of the stories within the Bible itself, like within the people of Israel. There are times when the people of Israel think, well, of course we're the good guys, and actually God says no, and some other group comes in and delivers God's justice to the Israelites.
Right. Yeah. Right. So God uses foreign armies and enemies to deliver his justice to his own people, even.
Right. Yes.
Not just his people delivering justice to other people who are oppressing them. So
exactly. All that just to say, like, yeah, we can't ever assume we know God's intentions as we watch these world events play out. But we're given kind of the broader bones to how government plays into God's justice.
Right. And so my point in saying any of that is just to say, like, biblically speaking, we see that God works through governments. He works through countries, doing justice and mercy, both from his people to others and from others to his people. And so God is still very active to this day in the deliverance of his justice and his mercy throughout the world. And so our prayer is that we pray for those in authority, pray for all governmental authorities. We pray that those who have been given the responsibility to bear the sword, if you will, the physical sword, would take that task not lightly, but according to God's will, in order that peace can prevail for all people. And so our prayer is that God will deliver peace to this world, as he's promised to do in all of eternity, that he would even do that this day. And so it's,
And if you're looking for, like, if you're like, okay, this is interesting, I'd like to know where to actually trace this out biblically, Romans 13 is a great place to go. You'll see this kind of language basically built out for you there in terms of the honoring of authorities, governmental structures. And bear in mind, if you go to Romans 13, this would be the Christian people at the time when Rome is in charge, who are adversarial to them. So keep that in mind as you read Romans 13. But you'll see this idea about the divine gifting of authority to governmental structures, and then kind of our role as Christians within those governing structures.
Yeah. Yep.
By no means an easy thing.
By no means.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and I just think it is a noble cause for us to pray for those who are in authority, those, that you voted for and those that you didn't vote for, that God would do his will through them, whether they acknowledge that as God's will or not. That's the thing biblically too. Like, God works through foreign people who even, deny him, basically. Yep. And so God will work, and it's not just through those who praise his name that he works. He has,
he's much stronger than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, my hope and prayers for peace and stability in this world,
Well, and I think that's the other thing that these kinds of big tragedies or calamities also maybe expose for us is, especially as Christians, is there are problems and brokenness in this world. Right. What's the solution? Where are we directing ultimately our attention to for the solving of these things, right?
Well, I think that was what you were looking at in the text. So we're preaching through John, and Kevin preached on John 5. I can't remember.
Starts right away.
It started verse 1.
Verse 1, yep.
Yeah, so there's this guy who's been an invalid for 38 years.
And we don't know much about this guy. Like, we don't know if he's 38 years old, for instance. Right.
Which, even if he is, that's like older than most people lived at the time, which is crazy to think about.
Sure. Yeah.
So he's been an invalid a long time. But yeah, there's this pool of Bethesda that it seems that at the time people thought it had some sort of healing powers in itself, and many people thought there was this angel who would come down and like stir the waters, and whoever was first in the water could get healed. So it's like people are looking to the water. They're looking to the water, and they think the water will heal them. And if I can just, and the guy basically says, like, if I can just get in the water, but I can't get in the water, nobody will take me. And if I think, is he saying, like, I try to, like, basically crawl there, but people get there before me. I'm never the first one, so I'm never going to be.
Exactly, because the belief was that it was whoever first entered the pool when it was stirred up, which you couldn't necessarily know. It wasn't Old Faithful, right. Which they have a countdown clock, and it's like, now it's going.
Well, I heard from one archaeologist that there was another. So for the water to be living water, it couldn't be stagnant water, and so it had to be moving. And so there was like another pool that they would open up like the gate, and so the water would come down and would sort of like bubble up and stir. So that might be why these people like kind of mystically thought it was an angel coming down and stirring the water, but it was just the water like being let in.
Which honestly, yes, I mean, like just that idea of living water, that is an important distinction that I wasn't aware of for the longest time. I think I always spiritualize it, but living water in its most fundamental sense is just moving water.
Yeah.
Like that's what it means.
Yeah.
Like active, like a stream, a river. That's interesting that archaeologists take on it. It's a very modern take. I mean, this is something I was wrestling with upon discovery of this, verse absent from the text there. That's verse 4 of John 5 that talks about the angel of the Lord coming. Is what if the angel of the Lord did? Like we approach these things and it's so easy to dismiss them as like some kind of fantastical belief that these people had that has no bearing in reality. But I don't know that that's the case, I mean, maybe there were miraculous healings.
Yeah.
And for me, some of this is hitting because of some other miraculous things that are totally unconnected to the Pool of Bethesda, but that I learned recently, which is just challenging sort of my modern sensibilities, let's say. But yeah, we know even this healing pool, as far as the archaeologist piece goes, so there was this belief at the time, and for people to be believing that the angel of the Lord was stirring it up, I mean, it's a very Jewish thing. But then Jerusalem gets sacked in AD 70, but the belief about the healing at this pool apparently continued on, at least according to, I think it's like the Anchor Yale dictionary. Their commentary on this specific pool is that after Rome conquers or destroys Jerusalem and they kind of overtake it, then the pool still exists as a mystical healing pool, but now devoted to like their gods.
Oh, really?
Of healing. Wow. And I there must have been some maybe. I'm trying to think of which archaeological evidence there would be for that, carvings or something of those particular deities. Before then, it's eventually totally destroyed at some point in the mid-2nd century. But any case, mystical pool, take it or leave it. Yeah. But the guy's hinging all his hopes on getting into that water.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If I have that, that's all I need.
And that's what you made these connections too. Like that's just what we do.
Yeah.
We just do that. We're just like, if I just had, I don't know, $100 more in my paycheck. If I just had whatever, another, if I just had a car that worked better. If I just,
There's a song I've been listening to lately. Came back around. It's a jam I used to jam to in high school, so I won't mention it because you shouldn't listen to it. But the artist is basically saying there's all these behaviors he's identifying in himself that he was doing that drove the person he loved away from him. And he's like, if I just would have done this, if I just would have done that, then we would still be together, and that's what I really need. Like the reason my life is in shambles is because you and I, romantically, we're not together. And so that's another common area where people say, like, if I just had that. And I mean, we kind of came round into this story, on the heels of talking about geopolitical conflicts, and that's another area where people really tend to. I don't know what we're talking about exactly. It's some sort of internal human propensity for like hope of shalom, hope of things being good. And another area we tend to do that is in the political one. Like if we just elected the right, person to office, or if we just institute these, legislative pieces, that'll be the fix.
Yeah. Well, and I think I think so. Shalom is the biblical word for peace, wholeness, and I think that people want that, and there's a part of us that also understands in order for that to happen, there also has to be justice. That there can't be oppressors and there can't be injustices, and yet our human understanding and desire for justice and who needs justice and what that justice looks like,
right,
is often just not consistent at its best.
Yeah, maybe you could like connect it right back to, we were talking earlier of our view down here in terms of conflicts and imagining, where God is in the mix, and then God's grander view of all things. With justice, I think we have a very small view of justice. Like we understand it, but it's mostly about justice for me, or justice for those who are near me, or who I have chosen to value.
Right.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But we have a much harder time extending that kind of to the horizons that God does, for the person who looks nothing like me, talks nothing like me, acts nothing like me. We're much quicker to imagine that they're part of the whatever that complex set of problems is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason that we long for these things, the reason we long for shalom and for there to be justice, is because that is what God desires too, and that is God's will, and that is what he will bring about when Christ comes again, like the fullness of it. And to this day, we imperfectly apply his word and his will in this world, and yet he is still active. He's still got it. But we know that we're just aware that this is not right, that this is broken, that there are certain people praising the fact that there are bombs being dropped, and there are certain people not,
right.
And so it's just like, I think that's I don't know, I was going to make another comment, but I already forgot my train of thought. But it's just the inconsistency and across the board, and so like in this story with the man at Bethesda, really what he needed to do was look to Jesus and find healing physically, but Jesus is also offering in that sign a sign of a greater healing to come.
Yes.
And I think that's this is the consistent thing throughout the Bible, through John's gospel. What you'll notice is that these people, they're looking at this thing for their source of hope. It's actually in these couple of readings. So if you're listening to this on the day that it comes out, on Wednesday, the 4th or whatever. So in this week's reading, so I'll be talking about the bread of life. So it's kind of the same thing, because in that instance, right before Jesus ever says, "I'm the bread of life," he feeds the 5,000.
And he just provided bread.
He just provided all the bread. Yeah. And they come back to him the next day looking for bread.
Yeah.
He's like, "You're looking for bread that doesn't last. I'm offering you the bread of life." And so in the sign, in the miracle of the feeding of the 5,000, Jesus is saying, "Yes, I have the authority to feed you now, but even more so, I have the ability, the authority to feed you with life for eternity." So he's saying the same thing, I think, to the man, right? At the pool, like I have the authority to heal you, but I also have the authority to actually heal you.
Yeah. There's more than just this piece, this thing that you've sort of loaded all your hopes onto. It's not the ultimate thing. Yeah. No, I think that's really good, and that's what you were kind of tracing. If I was following your logic, it's like that we sort of have intuitively in us. If we use justice as an example, this kind of bent towards God, if you will, like it's something that's in his nature. Yeah. The problem is we end up kind of targeting these things that aren't God in the pursuit of these ultimate things. Yeah. And so, and that gets us ultimately into trouble, or at least that would be that's what the scriptures would suggest. Yeah. Yeah.
And I've been asked this question a lot, like as pastor, because I tend to use the phrase like put your eyes on Jesus, like look to Jesus, and even for this man, it's like look to Jesus. And people have asked me like, okay, well, like what does that look like, practically? So I'm living my life, and let's go back to the example of like I am short on money. It doesn't seem like I have enough money in my paycheck to take care of things, and so I'm looking at my paycheck going, man, I really could use a couple $100 more. And if only I had those couple $100 more, then everything, it seems like it would be fine. The think we know that that's not always the case, but like very practically speaking, like maybe in some ways it could be helpful for you. You know?
Absolutely.
Like if you can't pay your bills and that sort of thing, it's like, all right, so how do I look to Jesus and also like try to solve this
practical
problem
thing? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead. Keep going. This is good.
And I think, I mean, I don't have the perfect solution other than to say what at least in my worldview, it means that above all else, I'm going to look to Jesus. So whether or not I get that extra $100 in my paycheck, I'm going to be content knowing that God is God, that I have life in his name, that he has provided for me eternal life through Jesus Christ, my Lord. I will give him thanks for the blessings that I have. And then with that all in focus, then I can go and try to handle the practicalities of life going, okay, Lord, you've also given me wisdom. You've given me knowledge. You've given me gifts, skills. How could I go about getting another $100? Do I need to get a part-time job? Do I need to sell something? Do I need to stop spending whatever? Like work on the budget, you know? But that's not my hope.
Right.
That's not my hope.
Yeah.
It'd be nice. I'd love to have that, but at the end of the day, it's also sort of like, I mean, Lord, if you're truly Lord, you've got this, but also you've given me wisdom and knowledge and skill and responsibility to live a faithful life.
Right.
So enable me with those things to figure this thing out.
So yeah, it's like look to Jesus, not in the sense of look up to the heavens and just wait for the dollars to start pouring out of the sky. But it's more about kind of your heart. Where's your heart at? Like look to Jesus from the sense of falling back on his promises, knowing what's going to ultimately make you stand or fall, make or break. This $100 could be very practically helpful, but it's not the thing ultimately on which your life rests. And God has made particular promises to us about his care for us. Yeah. And God's pretty faithful to his promises. Yeah. So even, I mean, what stood out to me in that whole bit is how apprehensive, like how worked up I know I can get when my eyes aren't on Jesus, when I'm fixating on a problem that I can't see my way through, right? I can get kind of agitated. That doesn't help a person creatively think. That doesn't help a person use their God-given wisdom and discernment. It also maybe doesn't make a person, let's say, exude a spirit that invites others to help. Yeah. You know? Now, if you're a Christian, that shouldn't be your, rubric for helping people. Like, are they being nice? Do I want to help them? Like, no, Jesus says just help. However, so all those things, right? Once I shift my focus, my eyes back to Jesus, not to see the money rain from heaven, but to fall back on those promises, all of a sudden I'm putting myself in a new mental space where no matter what happens, I know at least he's faithful. He's promised to be with me. He has given me an intellect. He has given me a people as well to belong to. Right. And that's so huge in the Christian community. Yeah. I mean, in terms of practicality, biblically speaking, the church was one of those places you could practically get that help. Yeah. And that's something that we've communicated several times, in worship on this podcast. We'll say it again, if you're part of our community and you find yourself in a tight spot, by all means, reach out to us. We have funds set aside.
Yeah. Yeah. It happens all the time in ways that we don't even know about, like people helping one another.
Yeah, so. That's right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of times it's probably happening even without us, our awareness too. Yes, exactly. But yeah, I like that where, what does it mean to put your eyes on Jesus? Yeah. This is a shifting of our heart and our trust. God's not a vending machine, but he has offered to walk with us. Mm-hmm. So even, I even find that helpful sometimes, like if I'm in a problem, to just kind of start using God as a sounding board, And I've actually had conversations with people who have shared specific problems. And some of them are so small, honestly. Like these are not huge problems, but just practical ones. And they said, God, I can't figure this out. Like, can you guide me? Mm-hmm. And I've had people talk about, like, all of a sudden, there's the eureka moment, Now maybe God says, no, you can do this. Mm-hmm. He's our perfect father. Mm-hmm. He's our perfect parent. Mm-hmm. Sometimes as a parent, you do use your judgment to say, I've done this for you so many times, but I know you have the capacity to do this. So I'm going to give you a shot on this, you know? Yeah. So, no, I appreciate that, breaking that down.
Yeah. So this episode in John 5 of this healing of the man it's considered a sign. I think a miracle. It's the same word.
Yep.
But sometimes it's translated as sign in John's gospel. A little factoid here. Do you know how many specific signs John records in the gospel?
Wow. No.
He alludes to many.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know what that specific number is. 7. Oh, a perfect number.
What do you know?
Well, man, I'm not calling sad because we've already hit, this would have been the third, I think, sign in the gospel by chapter 5.
Yeah, let me,
Wedding in Cana.
Yep.
The official's
son.
Daughter. Child. He's got a child at home.
At the end of chapter 4.
Jesus does a distance healing, yep.
This one.
Bethesda, yep.
Feeding the 5,000. Walking on water comes right after that. What was that? Was that 5 or 6?
That's 5 right there.
The last one is raising Lazarus.
Okay.
And there's one more in there.
That John records for us.
Uh-huh.
That's the tough thing, is knowing which ones show up in which Gospels. But what's the importance?
It's very choosy, yeah.
Well, and is there something significant about that number there?
I just like the number 7.
It's a good one. It's John Elway's number. Go Broncos.
Nah, biblically speaking, it's the number for completion, perfection.
And John plays around with that more than just in that front, because he also has, I believe, 7 I am statements, right? And so these are statements that Jesus says in the gospel, declaring his identity, essentially, in different ways.
Yeah.
This John guy man, he's clever.
Yeah.
He's clever.
Yeah. I was reading, this is just a bonus factoid. I was reading about John's mom.
Okay.
So, she, in the other Gospels, shows up as it's either Matthew or Mark, where she shows up requesting that her boys sit at Jesus' right hand.
Because they're the sons of thunder, James and John. Yeah, that's right.
So John's mom, so she's got this kind of voice in Jesus' ear.
Yeah.
She's listed as ministering to Jesus in his ministry.
Okay.
Some people think that she's Salome at the end of Jesus' life, like actually they're witnessing Jesus.
Oh, the resurrection?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the first women.
Death and resurrection. Well, so at the death in John's gospel, it says Mary was there, and Mary and Mary's sister, then Mary Magdalene. So there's some people who have even, some scholars, a chunk of them actually think that John's mom was sisters with Mary, the mother of Jesus.
Interesting. So they'd be cousins.
Yeah. Huh. I had never heard this before, but I read it in the Lutheran Study Bible. So.
Hey, man. So take that or leave it. No, I'm just kidding.
It wasn't a declarative statement.
Yeah,
it was just like
a possibility.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's some of that interesting stuff too, like in there's this community around Jesus and his ministry.
Yeah.
Beyond
the 12.
Beyond the 12. There's
and beyond the crowds, yeah. Some who are for whatever reason, they're privileged to see a little bit more. Well, very interesting.
All right. Good stuff. We'll be back next week, I think. So
yeah, keep cruising through John. If you're joining us in this season of Lent, if you got your journaling John Bible, blessings to you as you encounter more of these signs and statements and keep seeing who Jesus is and what he does.
Awesome. All right, buddy.
Peace.
Peace.